Have you read this new paper that says that New Orleans or much of South Louisiana could be underwater soon? Am I missing something here, or is this just like a little bit doom and gloomy, or is it just media running away with this clickbait idea? I've got a good theory. This entire argument that we're going to be underwater is built on this idea that the region is, quote, probably committed to 3 to 7 meters of future relative sea level rise, with a shoreline bound to migrate as much as 100 kilometers inland. So that's the shoreline between the Gulf of Mexico and Louisiana. And it's based on field evidence rather than any climate models. Estimates before this were saying 0.3 to 1 meter of sea level rise. Okay, so there's sea level rise and there's relative sea level rise, like in Louisiana. So there will be a difference, but this difference is huge. Where is it coming from? Well, it's from subsidence, it's from wetland loss, sediment starvation from levees, no diversions, soil compaction, canals made by oil and gas. Okay, so the land is sinking and we're not building any more land like we used to, but even then they're 10xing the lower end of the sea level rise projections. The big reveal is that they're pointing to this ancient shoreline, which is actually pretty cool. They're describing it as like this frozen in time underground beach that was once shaped by the lapping ocean, and this beach sits below the Ponchatoula Ridge, which is just north of Lake Pontchartrain, way far away from where the shore currently is. This historic shoreline would have been there about 125,000 years ago when sea levels were 3 to 6 meters higher than they are now. Because that historic sea level of 3 to 6 meters higher is closer to their projections of 3 to 7 meters of relative sea level rise, they're saying we're doomed. And here's my problem. While the past gives us a reference, it's critical to remember that these numbers still depend on many uncertain environmental factors and local projects being done by thousands of scientists, nonprofits, and volunteers. So the reality is, yes, there are some things out of our hands like hurricanes, but even though the author rather politely suggests that migration may be the answer, inherently comes off as this nihilistic view that we're doomed no matter what we do. All right, so here's the theory, and it came from somebody who is much more familiar with this lab than I am. It's that this researcher is simply trying to shift the Overton window. They're promoting this seemingly crazy idea of mass migration of the future in hopes that in reality, the policy and the science and what we're doing about it fall somewhere in between that crazy idea and what we're doing now. This article is saying that we have this historical data, we can see what's happening now, and we want to make sure that everyone knows, including the politicians and other decision makers, so that we can change the course of what we're doing now, or at least we can consider it whenever we make decisions. What do y'all think? Good theory? Bad theory?